Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast. You know, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play it back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied to first-time users on the mobile app or website. So basketball season is in full effect, and I think you would just be a fool if you didn't use the code. Save yourself $20. Anyway, look, I got somebody on here who know what they're talking about, man. I got a special guest in the building. Travis Hicks is joining me, sports reporter from Fox 47. He's here to talk football. What's going on with you, Travis?
Man, I'm happy to be back on with you. It's always a pleasure. You've been doing amazing things on this podcast. I love following The Run. In my opinion, the best sports podcast out there. And, time now is the playoffs. I remember we did a few takes during the season. Now it's time when the real season begins.
Yeah, this is where all the marbles count. And, man, I appreciate you for coming on, man. I'm glad I can finally bring you back on. We had a really good episode earlier in the season. Yep. Your Lions, they showed out. I think you hit everything on the money with your Lions.
I would say your Bears started off strong, but I would say even though they did have that losing streak, they did look good to end the season against the Packers. And, some moves this offseason, you never know next year.
I say this, and I'm always Falcons first. That's true. I'd like to cheer for the hometown team. I'm not in Detroit anymore, so I don't cheer for them as much. I'm here in Chicago. I go to more Bears games than I go to any other games, unfortunately, and that's just how that's just how it goes, unfortunately. So I be wanting the Bears to be good, but I can't do it, man. I can't cheer for that. I can't really cheer for this team when they so bad. It will always be Atlanta Falcons first, but it's like I want to support as much as I can, but it's like, bro, I'm not supporting this, bro. I'm going to say this and then we're going to actually cut to what we're talking about. But I went to go watch Caleb Williams play against the Patriots, bro. And this was, man's missed so many throws. Bro missed so many throws, just overshooting it, just out of range. It was inexcusable. I was shocked by it. And at that point, I was like, yeah, the Bears have a lot of work to do. So it was wild.
No, I feel you on that.
Yeah, so anyway, look, man, the reason we're here and what we're about to jump into is because the playoffs is in. Obviously, as we know, Lions sitting there with the bye week. And we'll go to the AFC in a sec, but Lions got the bye week. And in the NFC, I don't think there's much competition for them right now. The only team I see the Lions really struggling to get past that's stopping them from going to the Super Bowl is probably the Philadelphia Eagles. So I got to ask you, what team do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for the Lions on their trip to potentially get into the Super Bowl?
Well, the Eagles are a very good team, and they just made the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. And Saquon, as we know, had a historic season. I believe the Rams could be very scary. If they beat the Vikings, Stafford's somebody who's a demon to me. Stafford's a Hall of Famer, got a Super Bowl a few years ago. And he's somebody that will be extremely difficult to beat 3 times. We beat them last year in the postseason, then Sunday night to start the season. I think that would be very hard for him. I mean, very hard for us to beat him for a third time. Plus, he got cut back. He has Puka, all these guys. Like, the Rams are starting to get healthy. That's why they won that division. So I believe them, and obviously, like you said, the Eagles. But to me, it's a lot of parity. You got the Packers, even though they finished like kind of weak. Jordan Love, we know how good he is. There's a really good team there. Then the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, he had an amazing season. Then we can't sleep on the Buccaneers. They also beat us. Baker Mayfield is a bad man. And I got to shout out Mike Evans, 11 straight years of 1,000 receiving yards. He's one of the Mount Rushmore to me for receivers. So it's a lot of parity. I believe the Lions will get there, but it's definitely not going to be easy.
Yeah, this is facts. I love what you said about the Rams. I feel like Rams have not been getting as much credit as they deserve. So many teams look at the record and they look at the win-loss ratio and they're like, oh, Rams really being a threat? No, that's not going to happen. But they really sleep on the fact that the Rams have an arguably Hall of Fame quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Like, people don't realize it. Like, I think a lot of people, Midwest, NFC North, especially Detroiters, people who cheer for the Lions, understand how dangerous Matthew Stafford is. Okay. Like, we've seen this man in Detroit balling year after year after year, but just losing games because they didn't have a defense or because, like, bonehead drops, just simple stuff like that, bogus calls. But now he's with the Rams, and he's got crazy amount of receivers. That offense is scary. And the only thing, like you mentioned, it's going to be tough because not only is you playing Stafford again at home, but this is the revenge tour for Stafford because he went there last year and lost against Detroit. So he will be coming back with a vengeance there. So I really love what you said about Stafford, but I want to hear some more about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers thing because Buccaneers, let's move to that matchup there because Buccaneers, they got the Commanders on the clock right now. And the Commanders, this is a team led by a young quarterback, rookie quarterback. NFL teams are still trying to figure him out. We've seen Jaden Daniels have multiple game-winning drives, one against my Falcons, one against the Philadelphia Eagles, and closed it out in overtime and looked like a straight-up pro. So when you think about the possibility of the Lions having to play Jaden Daniels, would you rather choose between the Lions and Jaden Daniels and the Commanders or the Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Which team would you rather face on the clock?
I would rather play the Commanders. And to add on, when you were saying the game winners, I know this might hurt. The one he also had against Chicago, the Hail Mary, from the dude that turned his down. So that was one of the best plays of the season.
That was crazy.
But I would rather play the Commanders because I believe they're inexperienced just because it's their first time in. Obviously, a great young team. Jaden Daniels has years ahead of him. I think he's going to be phenomenal. But I believe the Lions can get one over on them just because the inexperienced, their first time back in the playoffs in a long time. The Bucs, they beat us during the season, and even though he doesn't have Chris Godwin, he still has Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield, to me, is one of the most underrated quarterbacks. This man is a bad man. Baker Mayfield, like, he's very underrated, but he can win games, and the Bucs still have those pieces from the 2021 Super Bowl team when they beat, the Chiefs. A few of those pieces, not the same team. So the Bucs are a team that I feel like is slept on. So I would rather play the Commanders, but I believe the Lions could beat both of them. And if we play the Commanders, I believe the Lions can win that by 10 or more. So at least by 2 scores.
Okay. But no, I love what you said there about Baker Mayfield, man. Baker Mayfield is man, he's been going crazy from his progression that we've seen in the past 3 years, from how he's executed plays, put the ball where it needs to be. I would be kind of frightened for the Lions to go against him too, because you also know he's a quarterback that's going to air it out. And I know, Lions got the secondary of Branch and Kirby, Joseph and stuff. They've been balling, both top 5 in interceptions, but let's keep it a buck. Lions secondary be getting exposed sometimes against these wide receivers and against these passing offenses. So that's where I would really be concerned from that point. And then I just want to hear who you think gonna actually win the game between the Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The game is in Tampa Bay, by the way.
Yeah. I got to go with the Bucs. I think at home, all that momentum, and Baker Mayfield has had multiple games this season with 300 passing yards and multiple touchdown passes.
This is fact.
So I got to, they're riding the momentum at home, winning that division. I think the Bucs are going to get it. They still have a pretty decent defense to me, but that offense with Baker Mayfield, and he's just also scary outside the pocket. He can throw on the run. He can also scramble. He's had a few plays where he made a defender fall, like a little bit Kyrie Irving move in the football sense. So I think the Bucs are going to win that game. So we could possibly, if that's who the Lions were to play next, that could be a rematch of last year's divisional round.
Yeah, and I think that would also be, a tough situation too, because Baker will be looking for some more revenge coming in and all of that. Yeah. But it's going to be, I'm curious to see Because I think the key matchup that will really, like, the one that's most likely to actually happen is Lions-Rams or Lions-Vikings, just because of how the seeds will be. Like, because, it's they reseed and all of that. Because if the Vikings do end up winning, then they'll be 5th seed. But if Commanders win, then Lions will play the bottom seed of them. And then, God forbid, the Packers end up. Oh, my. I wouldn't even know what to think if the Packers won. I don't I don't personally think they will have much of a shot, but let's talk about it really quick. So, Packers, they got the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love. Jalen Hurts, he's coming back from the whole concussion protocol. They say he's going to play. What do you think we can expect to watch between this Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers matchup? Who do you got as a winner as well?
I got the Eagles. I got to even say, my news director at my TV station, Fox 47, who's from Green Bay, diehard Green Bay fan, is also picking the Eagles. Just because even though the Packers, were a great team, they won, 10-plus games this season, Saquon's been the best running back in the league. Even though I'm a big Jahmyr Gibbs guy, Saquon could have broke the record if he played. And that's, to me, the X factor. Because Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to say he's overrated, but he plays great with talent around him, like A.J. Brown, obviously Saquon, and he's had different, guys around him. And the Eagles, that offense, to me, led by Saquon, is just going to get so many yards on that Packers defense and also the Eagles defense. Eagles also are one of the best defensive teams in the league as far as scoring defense, allowing teams, I believe, under 20 points per game at, I believe, 17.9, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really, I think that's going to be the edge. I think the Eagles are going to win by at least 2 scores, but I will say this, because anything could happen, because it is one game. If Jordan Love can play like what he did to the Lions on Thanksgiving last year and what he did towards the end of last season, because I want to see that Jordan Love again, because he's capable of it. If he can do that, they can win, because Jordan Love has had some really bad performances along with great ones. So he has an opportunity to go on the road. And I will say this, I give him a chance to potentially do what he did last year, what he did to the Cowboys, because the Packers were a 7th seed when they beat that Cowboys team. Now, I know the Eagles are different, but I'm going to go with the Eagles to be the smart betting man. But the Packers, I believe, could make it a game if they keep it close early. If it gets to like a 21-7 after the first, it's done.
I agree with that, and that's great, man. That's an excellent point. I love what you said there. A couple things I do want to pick apart of what you said, just to get some back and forth going. But so I think it's going to come down to defense. So an underrated aspect for the Green Bay Packers, obviously we all know Jordan Love is going to have to play good. If he comes out there and he's dotting up, then the Eagles, they might be in trouble. But an underrated aspect for the Green Bay Packers is that defense as well. Like we focus so much on the offense not looking the same as last year and not being as good. Also, they got the injury with the Christian Watson too. He's not going to be playing, so that's going to be a huge blow. But that defense is still a top 5 defense in the NFC. And a lot of people like kind of absorb over that fact because it's like, oh, Jordan Love isn't doing this and the receivers going. It's so much other drama there that's taken away from what that defense is actually doing. And granted, I know Philly has an amazing defense, but the second point I wanted to touch on here was you mentioned Jalen Hurts. You won't say he's overrated, but damn it, I will say Jalen Hurts is overrated. I think Jalen Hurts, great quarterback, phenomenal dude, of course, whatever. Don't know him personal, so I ain't even gonna get into all of that, but I think he's still very much wishy-washy. When teams force Jalen Hurts to pass, that's when it becomes like, okay, can he actually keep it up? Can he make it work? Can he put the ball where it needs to be? And I love what Jalen Hurts brings to the game. I love how dynamic he is with being able to use his legs. He has a strong arm, plenty of upside in his game. No whatsoever am I saying he's like a scrub or a bum or nothing like that. I don't want anybody to get that notion. But all I'm saying here is that with Jalen Hurts, his primary job is similar to Jared Goff. His job is to not mess up when he's controlling his offense. As long as you can hand the ball to Saquon Barkley, put the ball in a slant route, give it to your guys, let them go 15, 20 yards, you will be okay. As soon as you start throwing interceptions, as soon as you start fumbling the ball, what happens? That's when you start seeing your offense crumble. That's when you start seeing the team lose. So as long as Jalen Hurts does not mess up, they're going to be golden. I think they'll be straight. Saquon Barkley will have a field day. And we'll be talking about, the Eagles, who they got next in the next round of the conference games. But, that one's going to be tough. I think I'm siding with the Eagles, too, to win this. But I love, like you said, the possibility of the Green Bay Packers actually having a fair shot of winning this game. So I think that's very unique. A couple more games, too, and then we'll move on to a different conversation following, like, the MVP and all. But let's cruise over to the AFC. Now, I got to ask. I'm on record saying, I've been saying this for the past few weeks, as a matter of fact. Let's go ahead and get this Chiefs 3-peat over with. Like, let's just see it, bro. Like, let's see it. Let's see the Chiefs 3-peat so they can go back to being like whoever. We don't care about them no more. Let's see them get the 3-peat. Travis Kelce can go ahead and retire. I know they ain't got no money no more in terms of bringing people there and on contracts, all of that. Let's just see this 3-peat, see the history, so all the cheating can stop, all the bad calls can stop. I don't want to see none of that stuff no more. So let's get the 3-peat, witness history, and then let's call it for what it is. I want to know is, how do you feel about this potential 3-peat? Granted, keep in mind, any listener out there, because you know, I know you, so any listeners out there, this is a Lions fan, so I kind of know your answer, but I'm gonna let you answer it for yourself. Lions are obviously potential Super Bowl candidates, and they may go, but I just want to know, how do you feel about the Chiefs potentially 3-peating, and do you want to see them 3-peat?
Manny, you make a lot of great points, but there's one big roadblock for the Chiefs, the Detroit Lions. So the Chiefs have a great chance. I'm not saying that they don't, but I truly believe, even with all the injuries the Lions have faced, I believe the Lions can go all the way in to throw the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The script might have something different. I don't know what the NFL writers wrote up, but I hope the Lions can do it. And I will say, I'll go as far to say this: if the Lions win the Super Bowl, this will be one of the greatest championships in sports history, not just in the NFL. And the reason why I say that, I know it's a big take. The Lions have had more than 20-plus guys on IR this season, and they've gone through 29 different defensive lineups. That's one of the most in the history of the league. So all these injuries that they've faced, Hutch, who was going to be Defensive Player of the Year, broke his leg early in the year. Yep. Just got Anzalone back, and I believe Montgomery's going to play the divisional round. All these guys and more that have got hurt, and they're still here. So even with the Lions' bad defense, I believe they can beat the Chiefs. Now, I'm going to be honest, the Chiefs, they look good. Like the Chiefs, I know a lot of people are like, hey, they only won by one score, Travis. They did this. It's like, let's stop. When the Chiefs started getting healthy on Christmas Day, Mahomes was vintage Mahomes. Over 300 passing yards, 3 TDs, and they beat a really good Steelers team at that time.
This is fact.
At their place, when the Steelers have one, if not the best defense in the league with TJ Watt. So, and they're getting healthy at the right time. Hollywood Brown is back. Isaiah Pacheco's back. They still got D-Hop. Now you got Travis Kelce, and Xavier Worthy might be as fast as Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying he's faster, but could be as fast at the age of 21. So when I look at all those weapons and obviously that great defense, can't ignore Steve Spagnuolo, the best defensive coordinator in my opinion. The Chiefs have a very good chance. I believe the Lions are the one team that can do it if there is a team, but I will be honest, the Chiefs have a very, very good chance because I don't think nobody in the AFC is beating the Chiefs.
Oh, that's tough. I'm glad you. So, all right, we got a lot to unpack. And I promise, y'all, we're gonna try and speed it. We're gonna try and make it quick as possible to move on to the next one. But we got some stuff to unpack. So, I agree with you. This could potentially be the greatest championship run in all of sports if the Lions win, bro. Because the injuries that they had over like this season has been crazy. You would have never expected the team to have over 15 players on IR to still win 15 games. That's just unheard of, and it's magical. And I'm glad the Lions have figured out a way to still have some success, even with the third string and fourth string guys. But it's wild. It's unthinkable. It's unimaginable. So I 1,000% agree with you there. This would potentially be the greatest championship of all of sports. But the thing here is, gotta take it game by game. I think we all know how the NFL works. Anything can happen, but man, that's my only thing. So Hutch, I think a report recently came out and said if they even got to the Super Bowl, he wouldn't actually end up playing. Even though these were rumors and aspirations of him, since probably like since he got hurt, honestly, they were saying, oh, well, he can come back to the Super Bowl if the Lions make it. Now, that's a big thing. And Hutch, we all know, is a key piece. This is a dude who got injured in week 4 or 5, and he's still leading the NFL in sacks. Like it's crazy. So I think if the Lions, they continue to get healthier, then, we could see them go against the Chiefs and possibly win. But the thing that I think would really hurt them going against the Chiefs is the Chiefs have the experience, man. Super Bowl experience is a true thing. Like, and I try not to put too much emphasis on it, but every time it just proves me wrong. Like, I'm like, oh, well, maybe the underdogs can win, but it's like, nope. Chiefs been winning the last few years, but it's just like, even when I think about Pat Mahomes' first time there against Tom Brady, it was like, oh, Chiefs nice. They might get the dub this time. Nope, Tom Brady and the rest of them boys, they got it done. So it's crazy to me, and it's going to be tough, man. Anyway, second thing. Run through the AFC. You mentioned nobody in the AFC can beat the Chiefs. Really quick, we're going to run through this because we got to solve it out. So, all right, you obviously the key teams of threats for the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, and Buffalo Bills. You don't think the Buffalo Bills or the Ravens could beat the Chiefs?
No, and Manny, I want to tell you why. And I do like Josh Allen, and I used to not like Lamar, but Lamar's growing on me. He's an amazing player. I think he, I know we're going to get in the MVP talk. I'll give you my opinion on that in a bit.
Right.
But Josh Allen is 4-1 versus Mahomes in the regular season, but he's 0-3 versus him in the postseason. For some reason, that's his kryptonite. I don't think he can beat Patrick Mahomes. Even I'll never forget the 2021-2022 season. Mahomes had 13 seconds. What can you possibly do in 13 seconds? And they went down and tied the game.
This is
so
facts.
I don't think the Bills can do it, especially because the game will be at Arrowhead. Like, the Chiefs got the 1 seed. I believe that's really going to help him. And one thing, after last year, he went on the road to Buffalo. He went on the road to Baltimore and beat them. Now they have to go to Kansas City, and now he actually has guys around him. He's not throwing it to Kadarius Toney, who's really not a football player. I'm sorry. He just is like these guys led the league in drops last year. But I will say this, though. The Bills can make it a game because Josh Allen's having his best season of his career, and they can get the job done. But I will say this, though. What if the Bills get upset by the Broncos? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but Bo Nix, I don't know. Sometimes stranger things have happened.
Trav, come on, man. Come on, man. I can't let you get away with that. Come on, man. The Broncos.
I'm not saying the Broncos are going to win the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do because Josh Allen has choked sometimes in the postseason. He's amazing in the regular season, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked because Bo Nix, he turned into a different man the second half of the season with some of the wins he was getting. I'm just saying it could possibly happen. I'm going to pick the Bills to be a safe man, but I'm saying the Broncos can make that a game.
Okay. Okay, I think they make the game too because they got an elite defense. I'll give you that part. I'll give you that. But it ain't no way in hell I see the Broncos winning over. I can't let you slide on that. I'm sorry, bro. I can't let you get away with that one. I got to hold you accountable for that one. Okay. But I think it becomes a game for sure because the Broncos, they got such a solid defense. And the Bills, honestly, they defense, they'll let anybody and their mama put up 30-something points. So, I mean, if the Broncos can get it going on the offensive end, then, hey, then maybe we see a game that's under 45 points total. So, I can get you there. But with Lamar Jackson and the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, all of them, you brought up a great point. They cannot beat Pat Mahomes in the postseason. They can't. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they haven't been able to, even when they were at home. Now they got to go see him on the road. Like they got to go to Arrowhead and try and beat Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that's a difficult task, and I wouldn't put anybody up like against Pat Mahomes and choose them as a winner in Arrowhead in the playoffs. Nah, that becomes a completely different team. I'm on record saying, hey, this team usually plays to the level of their competition, but when competition is good, they step up. And this is like you said, bro, it's just different. It's different. So, look, man, all right. So, really quick, we're going to run through some predictions, and then we'll jump into some news. We're going to make this quick, too. So, rest of the teams in the AFC, just give me a quick answer, straight answer, who you got winning. So, Texans-Chargers.
Texas-Chargers is going to be a good one. I'm going to actually go with Herbert. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think he gets a postseason win. C.J. Stroud has been struggling. He doesn't even look like the same guy from a year ago.
Facts.
I hope he can prove me wrong because I did like him, but I got Chargers.
Yep. Okay, same. We in the same boat there. Ravens-Steelers, who you got?
I just saw Zay Flowers is not going to play. I do think that's going to hurt Lamar, but I do think I'll be an idiot to bet against Lamar. I think he's driven, and, I got to go with Lamar and Derrick Henry.
Okay, yep. They're at home, too, so I feel like they can still get the job done. Zay Flowers a huge hit, of course, but Steelers, Mike Tomlin got his 50% record or his above 500 record. He don't care about football no more. Anyway, and then you kind of mentioned it. We know who you're going with because you said it, but Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos, who you got?
Bills by a field goal. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. I think it's going to come down to a game winner.
I love it. I hope you're right because that's going to be a hit if so. So I hope you're right. Anyway, look, man, we got some news for the run coming up, and then we're going to jump into this MVP conversation. Travis still going to be here with me, so go ahead. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. We got some news for the run. It's halftime.